See, you seem so clear. I don't want
Yeah.
to pin you down on, okay, oh, you are so clear. I'm sure you have your days when you are unsure about things. But
Yeah.
because of the level of intellect that you have, the way you project yourself, the confidence that you bring, these are very good qualities to have, and I'm sure they've held you in good stead in your
Yeah.
early studies, college, friendships, uh, other relationships besides friendship in terms of family relationships, everybody thinking that you got it made and you are such a good child and whatever, all those positive things. Now, with
Yeah.
that kind of intellect, when it works against you and you're feeling vulnerable, how bad is it being Ushua? I want you to get into that mindset a little.
Oh,
That is something that we all face. And we discussed something about books prior to our chat. And
yeah.
I have read so many books. And there were days, thankfully, I am almost not reading most of the time, except for what I read on Facebook or Insta or whatever, little bit, which is as good as nothing. But I used to read
Yeah.
volumes and stuff like that, and it works against you, and you don't know who to blame, because you're like, your mind is working against you. How do you
Yeah.
tame it down? So what do you, oh, I want to know the bad part. We all know the good part. You are projecting yourself well, and it's such a wonderful thing. But on a bad day, what is it like, if you are able to?
Okay. So I think my bad days are weird. My bad days are really weird. Everyone sees a different side, and usually this is this humorous side of me that you see, this happy sunshine and positivity. It's a double-edged sword. It just turns into dark humor, and suddenly every shitty situation just turns into something that you laugh about. And it's not always in the right time. I have laughed at some really, really gruesome situations. And I still wonder what is wrong with me. Why did I laugh in that situation? But that's the double-edged sword of the way my mind works. Um, I think I deal a lot with imposter syndrome. That's something that, like, it reflects into me very easily. And it's been happening my entire life. I can't explain why. But I end up, looking in the mirror going, you're such a fattu. What are you doing with yourself? And then other days I'm like, wow, I have such original thoughts. I'm awesome. But none of those thoughts are actually quantifiable. So what am I doing? And then it's an endless loop that goes on to itself. It's impossible.
Okay, wait.
But yeah.
I,
Yeah.
you really speak well. I just want to listen, but I have questions.
Go
Uh,
ahead.
uh, is there a point that you love yourself during your vulnerable time, where you tell yourself, um, I want to give you a context. I used to have a very dear friend who was very close to me, and when we became friends, there was an age difference between us, but we became good friends because we thought alike about a lot of things. And
Yeah.
she used to smile and laugh a lot. And there was so one fine day, without any notice, I just told her, "What are you nervous about? Why do you keep laughing at these? Like you're not thinking this." She said, "It's
Yeah.
the first time I've been caught out." I said, "I knew this from day one. I was
Yeah.
wondering why is she being so idiotic? Matlab, chill. I am not judging you at all. In fact, I don't think
Yeah.
that I'm judging this aspect also." So she said,
Yeah.
"Yes, I'm very nervous and I'm very, sometimes I'm just restless about something. I
Yeah.
may not be able to put my finger to what is troubling me,
Yeah.
but I am nervous and I laugh my way out of situations." So when you said this, I got reminded, and I couldn't talk back. If she decided to explain herself, she was quite good at it. And
Yeah.
that is the joy. I think all of us who are like intellectually inclined, we love our words.
Yeah.
We think, ah,
That's
मेरे
true.
से अच्छा कौन बोलेगा? अरे बहुत बढ़िया. So my question to you
Hmm.
uh, is, do you stand up for yourself internally during those moments where you know that facade, the face is off now? I know I
Yeah.
am not what I'm saying, and I know you may be crying or whatever, it's quite all right. Matlab, I think it's quite a healthy thing. I don't know why this society makes a big deal out of it. But
Yeah.
my question to you is, you within that space, are you judgmental? Are you loving? Like when you judge yourself, do you allow society to enter you in? Because I find that a huge problem in a lot of people, that they take the society's side. I said, "Arey,
Yeah.
at least you yourself should stand up for yourself. No, forget it. You might be
Yeah.
mad or this or that, but at least you bloody."
That's true.
So, how does it work for you? Does it work both ways? Or what happens?
I
Sorry.
think I went, yes, that's okay. That's a good question. I think I
Good.
went through phases. And those phases, now I can look back and say, okay, that was actually me growing up. But at that point, I didn't realize that. And that's where a lot of like, my anger towards society comes from, and like the situations that it puts me in. And sometimes I just, hate, just want to just burn down society anyway. Moving
We are doing
forward.
a good job without your help.
Exactly.
I want to ask you again. Sorry, I want to interrupt because
Yeah.
this is very interesting. Can you
Yeah.
give us an example? Whatever, some little
Of
one that you can be, because you are on camera. So I wouldn't expect a really shape
give example of what?
of where you felt that you grew up. Where
Oh,
initially it felt that, oh, I was
yeah.
whatever you can
Yeah.
share. I appreciate that it is a
Okay.
personal thing.
No, that's okay. And if I can write poetry and publish it online about this stuff, then I can definitely talk about it. I have it coming, Um, but yeah, so I remember my first year of college. I was very excited for what I was studying. And I'd finally gotten rid of all the subjects that I didn't want to study, and I was done doing the must do study subjects. And that was a big deal for me because I'm a big nerd, and that's just always been something that I struggled with. So I walked in, and the first thing I did was sit in a maths class, and they looked at me, and I was just surrounded by, I think, there were 80 girls from three combinations sitting with me. And I could clearly distinguish between all of them. There were the girls that wanted to be there because they like maths. Then you had the girls that wanted to do maths because they wanted to do engineering and they ended up in BSc maths. And then there were the girls that were just sitting there because they wanted to study economics and maths just came with it. And I remember sitting there going, I don't know if I can classify myself into any one of these categories. And I was having like a good dialogue with myself in my brain. And it was the first class. Like my HOD walks in and she starts writing something on the board. And I'm just enjoying the lecture because I actually know what she's talking about. And it was a big deal for me. And next thing you know, she sees me, she sees that I'm writing and I have a slight smile on my face. And she goes, Ma, why are you smiling, Ma? Who are you talking to? Show me your phone. And I was like, I don't have my phone with me. And she was like, really? You're going to lie to me? And she was convinced that I wasn't paying attention to what she was saying. She was convinced of it. She was convinced that I was going to be this rebellious child that did not care about anything that was happening. She'd already labeled me in her head. Then she goes, what is your name? What is your roll number? And I said, my name is Ushwa. And she goes, Usha, get out of my class. And I said, why? And she was like, can you solve this? And I was like, yeah. And so I gave her the answer that I'd gotten in my book. And she was like, oh, okay. And then she walks up, she checks under the table for my phone. Then she checks my hands. She sees my phone in my bag. Then she sees my notebook. She sees that I have my name written and all the sums are there in my book. And she goes, okay. And she walks away because she knows she was defeated in that round. But it continued for the entire first semester. It continued. Everyone
Wow.
would just, yeah, they automatically saw me and they labeled me as the rebel child. And I could not figure out why. I just could not figure it out.
Mm.
Eventually, I dealt with it by just not being in class, and that was my college life. But it was fun. Like I enjoyed my lectures, and I don't think my teachers could fathom that idea until one day I literally said, I'm enjoying your lecture, and they said, oh. And then they just walked away because they had never heard a student say that. And they were like, this is possible, this is reality. And I remember being so angry about it because they wanted to see my parents about this. They wanted to see my parents because I was a problem child who was smiling in class. And I was happy to sit there and I was interactive and I was asking questions that they thought were stupid questions. So I owned it. I wrote some poetry, got some acknowledgement. Eventually, they left me alone when they saw I did decently in my exams. And then I found other things that interested me. But that
So
was
what
that
was
was
the
something that
growth moment?
I
Sorry.
don't know. No, so I was getting to it. In the process, I just decided to ignore them because I realized that at that point, they were reacting to themselves not having seen this ever. I don't think they've seen the authentic want to learn a subject like maths before. And it truly warped their mind that it was a possibility. And so I just stopped reacting, and that was my growth moment. I turned around and I said, hey, this is their issue. I don't have to internalize it. But I ended up, not smiling in class more often. And that was something that I was really angry about because I was generally like one of those happy kids. And the fact that I had to control my face was really upsetting. But by the sixth semester, I built up such a rapport with them that like even if I was smiling in class, they never doubted that I wasn't paying attention. A, because I was barely in class. So they knew if I was there, then it was a good reason and I was paying attention. But also because over time we had had like, bits and pieces of dialogue and they had gotten to know me. And through that, they'd realized the authenticity. And that itself, it was a growth moment for them and for me. And so it was different. And I don't think I got that even in school. So when it finally clicked, I was like, okay, I shouldn't have been angry. I should have tried to explain better. And so I went back to learning how to communicate better. And that's what I tried to do. I don't know if I
Wonderful.
succeeded. But yeah.
I I'm sorry I posed upon a word that you thought that I have not posed upon.
Yeah.
You said I have been a nerd and I have a problem with that. So knock knock. My,
No.
my job is to listen carefully.
I don't have a problem with it now. I had a problem with it in school. I
Because of
used
what
to.
you just
Yeah.
explained.
Yeah. I have this like I think unlike most kids in the Indian education system today, they don't, and this is something that I'm really passionate about. So I'm going to rant a little bit, excuse me, but they're not taught to explain what they understand. They're not taught to explain how they know what they know or why they know what they know. They're just taught to know. And that's not enough to learn, and that's not enough to develop your mind. You have to
So,
understand why what you're studying is important. And a lot of the reasons why I liked learning what I was learning was because of the why and the how, which was happening in the background, because I was privileged enough to have parents who would explain that to me and I didn't have to just know, right? And I don't think that's something that even teachers can deal with today. They're just not equipped with it at all. And so growing up, I would have these conversations with my peers, with my teachers, with other grown-ups. And in general, I would end up feeling like, Arey, maybe I'm going about this the wrong way. Maybe I shouldn't be worried about the why and the how. And then I'd be like, maybe I should just concentrate on the no. And I was never really good at that. So then I'd be like, Arey, you're so bad at this. Like, why are you doing this to
yeah,
yourself? So
it's
yeah.
quite a beautiful thing that you covered. I did not expect you to enlarge the entire concept of learning so beautifully. It's really beautiful because as a parent, uh,
Yeah.
I would want to sit and mull over this. Although I think I have only one rule for my daughter, which is if you come first, you will get thrashed. So she is quite chill about it.
Good rule.
But I have told her you never need to worry about academical stuff. If you are going now, she's in the eighth standard. So I told her, uh, try and understand why is it there in the textbook. What is it
Yeah.
that they are trying to tell you? Get to the root of the knowledge itself. Instead of
Mhm.
trying to memorize and get marks and all that stuff, don't be an absolute failure because I will have to answer your teachers to manage. And I've been an average student, you can be as good as that.
Yeah.
But the fact that I find it, see, it's not easy also. That also means that
Yeah.
she can, what is called back answer in India. She can give
Yeah.
answers which I may not like, and she may actually have a point of view which I'm unsure of. Or also with the internet, one of my issues is I do not know where to uh, censor information that she may not be ready for, according to me. But I try and what can I say? Uh, Normalize things as much as possible, even the stress part of it.
Okay.
Instead of trying to make it a big deal, because it really is not in my hands, and the net is a beast by itself. So I've tried to
Yeah.
contextualize the internet as well. Trying to tell her, instead of watching other people's videos, you figure out how to make your own and what is the context that you are trying to give via your this thing. Not that she's reached a age where she's doing all these things yet,
Mhm.
but I really am quite keen to pursue this line of thought after our chat is done in my head.
Mhm.
What is it I can do to make it even more wholesome, if I were to call it? Because
Okay.
I have not thought about it with a specific point of view. See, I've gone through what you went through in college. I was quite a notorious guy in an engineering college who didn't know what I was doing in engineering because I didn't know what I wanted.
Mhm.
Uh, I flunked a year because I just didn't want to study. And the next year, I decided no, I wanted to study and I wanted to really get a hang of what was engineering.
Mhm.
I think in my very first class, my HOD said this thing that I've heard a lot about you, and I've been your project, I'm like your project teacher. I'm going to ensure that you will not pass. And I'm like this is the first day of a year that I've decided to change, and I love engineering for a change. Although this is not my chosen subject, I was confused earlier, but because life has put me here, I'll try and be the best. And
Yeah.
yes, and you're also scared because teachers have the power to skittle your
Yeah.
plans. We spent a lot of time. Unfortunately, in my group, there was another guy who had the same impression on the teacher. So he thought, कि ये group को तो मैं बराबर. I'm like, come on, I'm trying to get serious about this.
Yeah.
So much so that when I was one of the result was 20% in the class, and I was one of the guys who passed. Um, and I was asked by the same teacher, how come you passed? And I was like, I quit doing everything that was fun in that year. And I'm not joking. So people like you who were nerds, I would sit in your room and wait for you to, you would say, Abhi mujhe nasta karna hai, I won't teach you. I would wait. Sunday mornings, I'm traveling to come to your place and just learn the damn thing, how to pass my exam in a way which I want to study further. I want to really understand.